Imagine finding a bag containing $1 million. No cameras, no witnesses, no owner, just you and $1 million. Most people think they'd be rich. They're wrong, because the moment you try to spend even a tiny piece of it, everything starts going wrong. The bank gets suspicious, people ask questions, records appear, and before long the money becomes a bigger problem than not having money at all, which sounds ridiculous. How can having $1 million be worse than having none? Well, let's say you find the money and take it home. For the first few days, you're probably feeling pretty good. You start looking at houses, cars, vacations. Maybe you even quit your job in your head. Then reality hits. You can't walk into a bank carrying $1 million in cash. You can't buy a Lamborghini with a duffel bag. You can't explain where the money came from. And the second somebody asks that question, your entire life depends on having an answer. That's when you realize something terrifying. The money isn't valuable. It's trapped. And that's exactly the problem criminals have. Making money is easy. Spending it is the hard part. In fact, some criminals have made so much cash that they literally ran out of places to hide it. One cartel reportedly buried millions underground. Another stored cash inside walls. Another kept stacks of money in warehouses. Not because they wanted to, because they couldn't spend it. And that's where one of the strangest inventions in modern crime begins. Not a weapon, not a drug, not a scam. A way to make dirty money look clean. It's called money laundering. At first, the solution sounded completely ridiculous. Instead of hiding the money, they opened a business. A normal business. The kind you walk past every day without thinking twice. A restaurant, a nightclub, a car wash, and somehow, that changed everything. He's sitting in his apartment. $1 million. Still trapped. A week passes. Nothing. The money is just sitting there. Every day it's worth a fortune, but completely useless. Then somebody gives him an idea. A terrible idea. At least that's what it sounds like at first. Open a business, not because he wants a business, because he needs a story. A few months later, he owns a small restaurant. Nothing fancy. A few tables, a few employees. A boring little place nobody pays attention to. Then something strange starts happening. The restaurant starts making money. Too much money. Some days the cash register says 50 customers came in. Only 20 actually did. Some days it says 100. Maybe 30 showed up. Nobody notices, because nobody's counting. And that's when he realizes something. The restaurant isn't selling food, it's selling explanations. And if you're enjoying this so far, subscribe, because this is where things start getting dangerous. For the first time since finding the bag, the money has somewhere to come from. The cash goes into the register. The register goes into the bank. The bank sees a business, not a guy with a mysterious duffel bag. And for a while, it works. The fear starts disappearing. The money starts moving. Life starts looking normal again. But then he runs into a wall nobody warned him about. A restaurant this small can only explain so much. 50 extra customers a night looks fine. 500 looks insane. And that's the moment he realizes something. The problem isn't hiding the money anymore. It's hiding how much of it there is. At this rate, cleaning $1 million through one restaurant would take him years. So he does something almost nobody expects. He multiplies. First, a car wash, then a vending machine company, then a small chain of laundromats, turning cash from nowhere into cash from somewhere. Each one only handling an amount so small, so normal, that nobody would ever look twice. And here's the part that actually matters. No single business ever has to lie big. It only has to lie small. Spread thin enough, a fortune starts to look like nothing at all. But he doesn't stop there, because cash sitting in 4 bank accounts is still just cash. So he does something even smarter. He buys a small building, pays for it with restaurant profits. On paper, that's just a guy reinvesting in real estate. Then he buys another one, then rents them out. Once those buildings are legally his, sitting on paper as real, appraised, valuable assets, he walks into an actual bank, not to hide anything, to borrow money, a real loan, approved by an actual loan officer looking at actual numbers, using buildings that were bought with money that started as a duffel bag on his apartment floor. Money that is now, by every legal definition, completely clean. Dirty money didn't just disappear, it got promoted. At this point, the original $1 million doesn't even exist anymore. It's been converted into assets that come with their own paperwork. Nobody can trace a dollar back to a duffel bag because that dollar isn't a dollar anymore. It's a percentage of a building. 2 years after finding the bag, he's ready for the real test. He wants a house. The house. A mortgage broker looks over his finances. 4 profitable businesses, 2 rental properties, years of tax returns. She approves the loan in 9 days. Nobody calls the police. Nobody asks where it came from. There's just a guy who built a few businesses, made a few smart investments, and is finally being rewarded for it. The exact same dollars that would have gotten him investigated 2 years ago are the ones buying him a house in the nicest neighborhood in the city. Remember the $1 million? Here's the part most people get wrong. The money was never dirty. Paper can't commit crimes. The money didn't need cleaning. The story did. And once you understand that, you start seeing things differently. And that's what makes money laundering so dangerous. Not because it's complicated, because when it's done well, it just looks like success. So in the next video, we're breaking down the craziest money laundering tactics people have actually used.